watch and burn.
Yeah, so I think tonight I will discuss Lorde's first album. Like I said, this came out back around 2014, 2015, and I've been listening to this a lot lately with Melodrama, mainly for the handful of songs I always end up listening to from both of these albums. But the reason that I wanted to discuss it was because her first two albums, but especially her first one, it really shows how it's not really a complete LP. And she proved that kind of herself when she released Solar Power. Because it feels like Solar Power is her first complete album. Whereas this, for example, it's more like it's a handful of singles packaged with a bunch of additional songs that may or may not become singles in order to create a full length. And I don't feel that coming from... I feel it less, coming from Melodrama, and I don't feel that at all from Solar Power. So with this record, I mean, with tracks like there's Tennis Courts on here, White Teeth Teens is on here, Royals is on here. White Teeth Teens were always fun. Yeah, I think those... Wait, hang on. 400 Lux wasn't bad. But no, I think the songs to me that sort of translate the best, that sort of help to sort of sell this record as a complete full length are, of course, Tennis Courts, Royals, White Teeth Teens, and 400 Lux. Would say with other tracks like Ribs or Still Sane, it's like they're just there. It's like they have to round out the rest of the record in order to justify putting like a full-length price on it. But whereas everybody knows this song was totally about Royals, this record was completely based all around the success of Royals and Tennis Courts. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, Tennis Courts is one of the best songs I've ever heard. So I don't care how many times I've listened to that song. I cannot get sick of it. And I love the design of this album. I love how plain it is. I love how nondescript this record is. And I love how the music is fun and bouncy and catchy and well-produced and well-written. But it does sort of fit with sort of the very sort of natural aesthetic that this record has. It's like, concerning the album artwork, this record is completely middle of the road. It's not trying to sway you in any particular direction. Whereas I did find with Melodrama, it did have more, it was more of an emotionally centered record. And I'm not saying that the songs on here don't have emotional impact or have a sort of an emotional significance, because that's crazy, because of course they do. But I found with Melodrama that the title of that record fit the music and the lyrics really well. Whereas Pure Heroine, it's a great title, but this, when I hear Pure Heroine, and heroine as in a female hero, not as in pure uncut heroin, the drug. When I say the words pure heroine in my head, I picture like Game of Thrones, and or maybe more of like a Florence and the Machine vibe. So I really like the album title, and I love the aesthetic, or the plain aesthetic of this record, and I love how the music does reflect that. Not saying anything bad about the tracks on here again. Fucking lot of songs on here are a lot of fun, but they do sort of fit that middle of the road vibe that this record has. And I just never go to this for a complete full listen. I always end up checking out after the handful of songs that I love. So yeah, and I think that's all I had to say. So I will stop. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little over 4.5 minutes while I discussed Lorde's her first full length from back in, I believe, 2014, 2015, and that is Pure Heroine. Like always, if you liked this discussion or whatever the fuck this was, don't forget to do something nice for somebody, but please, most importantly, don't forget that the world is a better place because you are in it. I'm gonna go. Have a good night.